Good evening. I'd like to call to order the meeting for Bedford Township Board for May 7th, 2024. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And if you could remain standing for just a second, I'd like to do a moment of silence for Linda Flick, a longtime resident of Bedford, and just if you knew her, what an amazing lady that did a lot for the community and a lot for the BBA and the DDA, and just thankful for her and everything she brought to this community. So let's have a moment of silence for her. Okay, at this time, if Pastor Steve Hobbins could open us up in prayer, appreciate it.
Normally, if I'm a little more in my pastoral role, I'm a little more dressed up than this, but didn't have a choice tonight, so please forgive me, but it's always good to be here. Let's pray. Father, thank you for the opportunity to be here. Thank you that we get to recognize some people who have served others and put others first in different roles, and we thank you for that. Father, the fact that we're here and asking for prayer acknowledges our need for guidance, our need for help, our need for you. And I pray that you would guide, help us to be good stewards of our community, and to be wise with the decisions that we make, and to make decisions that would be honoring and pleasing to you. We ask this now in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. Okay, item 2 is approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Support. Motion supported by Mr. Bruning. Any discussion? Let's call the roll, please.
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Mr. Montroy?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Ms. Janasek? Aye. Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Peroni?
Aye. The motion passed 7-0. Okay, item 3, the consent agenda. The agenda committee recommends to approve and place on file the minutes from the April 16th, 2024 regular meeting of the Bedford Township Board.
Motion to approve the consent agenda is submitted.
Support.
Okay, motion is supported by Mr. Gore. Any discussion? Okay, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Ms. Janasek? Aye. Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Mr. Montroy?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Peroni?
Aye, the motion passed 7-0. And item 4, we have presentations. Presentation honoring Lieutenant Jeff Brusaber on his retirement from the Bedford Fire Department, and a presentation honoring firefighter Roger Brusaber on his retirement from the Bedford Fire Department. Ms. Hirschberger? I don't know how your order's going to go here with who's going first. So.
If I could have Jeff Brusaber come forward. I'm going to have you take center stage. Whereas Jeff Brusaber is a longtime resident of Bedford Township and has faithfully served on the Bedford Township Fire Department since November 6, 1994, and whereas Jeff Brusaber over the course of his many years of service as a firefighter will complete his tenure with the rank of lieutenant, and whereas he has worked hard throughout the years to obtain multiple certifications and completed numerous hours training to be a skilled firefighter and emergency medical technician, and whereas Jeff is known to be a reliable and dependable firefighter who is always willing to respond to the call to serve, and whereas Bedford firefighter Jeff Brusaber, after dedicating the past 29 years of service, has found that it is time to retire and spend more time enjoying his family, which include wife Amber, their 4 children, and 2 grandchildren. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Bedford Township Board and the citizens of Bedford Township wish to thank Jeff Brusaber for his many years of excellent service to the community and to wish him well in his retirement. Congratulations.
Jeff.
Congratulations.
If we could have Roger Brushaber come forward. And you get to take center stage now. I'm going to cut yours a little short because I have another presentation that's going to come forward. But I want to thank you for 51 years of service on the Bedford Fire Department, all your dedication. And Roger Brushaber has decided to retire after 51 years of service. It's time to retire and spend more time with his family, which include wife Mary, their 4 children, 11 grandchildren, and 3 great-grandchildren. Now let it be resolved that Bedford Township Board and the citizens of Bedford Township wish to thank Roger Brushaber for his many years of excellent service to the community and wish him well in his retirement years. Congratulations. I'm going to give you this. And then you stand right there for one more second.
All right. Tribute number 2. Roger Brushaber, firefighter, veteran, husband, and friend. Let it be known that it is our distinct privilege and highest honor to recognize retired Bedford Township firefighter Roger Brushaber for all of his dedicated public service and all it has done in the faithfully protecting and serving the residents of Bedford Township. In the annals of public service, there are figures whose commitment to duty and unwavering resolve shine as beacons of inspiration, and Roger stands among these distinguished individuals. Indeed, Roger faithfully and consistently demonstrated the very best character, integrity, and commitment in all that he has done. Beginning in his journey February 4th, 1973, that's older than me, before my time. With the Bedford Township Fire Department, Roger Brushaber worked his final shift on Tuesday, March 19th, 2024. Over the many years, Roger became an integral part of the department, and his fellow firefighters came to rely on him as being ever present and on the ready for whatever need arose. Throughout his dedicated service, Roger held a variety of roles, including assistant chief, and had been an unwavering pillar within the department. Roger's commitment to excellence, his tireless work ethic, and his willingness to go above and beyond the call of duty has been an encouragement to his fellow firefighters as well as those throughout the community. For the morale and focus on public service in any organization to remain high, every department needs an individual such as Roger. Thankfully, Bedford Township has had its own Roger Brushaber, the real McCoy himself. Notably, Roger Brushaber also proudly served his country in the United States Army, where he continued to exemplify the same dedication and bravery he has shown throughout his firefighting career. Roger is a proud American, and we stand in appreciation for his love of country. Beyond his professional achievements, Roger is also a loving father who raised 4 wonderful children. His commitment to family is a testament to the kind of man he is, and we know he will bring the same dedication and passion to this new chapter in his life. As he transitions into retirement, he will be dearly missed, along with the unforgettable stories he shared and the laughter he brought to the Bedford Township Fire Department. In special tribute, therefore, we thank and congratulate Roger Brushaber upon his retirement from the Bedford Township Fire Department. After 51 years of dedicated service, our warmest wishes go out to Mary and Roger as they embrace this new chapter. Roger's 51 years of service, dedication, and friendship will be fondly remembered by the community and all, and he will always be part of the Bedford Township Fire Department family. Signed by myself, Will Bruck, and Senator Joe Bellino.
We took the flag.
Took the flag.
Well, I know I can speak for the board that we don't take any of you guys for granted. We appreciate everything you do for this community. And personally, every time I talk about the firemen, I get a little teared up because I can't imagine, because I have 5 kids, leaving the home over the course of 50 years at dinners and family time. So we appreciate it. We thank you guys. So keep doing what you do. So we love you. If anybody wants to leave, now would be a good time to do so. We'll give you a moment. Usually the place clears out. So.
I didn't mean you, Bob.
Okay, if people would like to start coming on up for public comment, comments are limited to 5 minutes for board agenda items only. Just state the agenda item you'll be speaking on.
My name is Carl Arnold, 8349 Westwood Street in Ida. I'm a lieutenant with the fire department and the president of Michigan Association of Firefighters Local 1136, representing the full-time firefighters of Bedford Township. On behalf of the local, I just wanted to take the time to speak on agenda item 4 and the presentation for Roger and Jeff. Without their dedication and without their commitment to Bedford Township, none of us would be able to do what we do today, and none of the future generations of the fire department would be able to do what they do also. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Lamar Frederick, 3254 Deer Creek Drive. Mr. Supervisor, member of the board, I will address 8C, the Bedford Township Maintenance Building. Seems like I'm up here an awful lot talking about projects that this board has undertaken. And to quote Elizabeth Barrett Browning, let me count the ways that I've been up here. I will use your own documents in my presentation. And I go to the Jacobs Architects PLLC, and the main reason for this request tonight is one, serviceability, due to the tight confines of the laydown area. And I asked you people several meetings ago to go out and stake out the building so you had an idea of what the turn radius was. It's pretty tight back there, and that's what he says. And then the owner's ability to maintain the gravel area. So now we're going to have the maintenance guys out here pushing the gravel around because, as you know, with a truck and a long trailer behind it and dual wheels, one of the pair of wheels is always sliding. So you're going to be moving gravel all over the place out there if that's what you choose to do. Permeability. The gravel provides a better absorption rate. I sure hope you don't have any environmental issues out there because you're going to be cleaning up an awful area. Budgetary. Economics is not, I repeat, one of the findings that this board has to do. And we'll get to that in a minute. So if this is an economic, this tells me now, like other projects that we've been working with, this thing is either close to or over budget, and you're trying to find ways to save it. Let's go to the design standards, which is what you folks as a board are supposed to be looking at. It says that commercial driveways and parking lot services required to have hard surface under the Bedford Township zoning ordinance. That's what they're asking for a waiver tonight. Don't want to put hard surface. We want to put gravel out there. And here are the only special circumstances that are permitted for you to consider in the event you want to grant this variance. There are special circumstances or conditions affecting the subdivision or the project improvement, such that strict application of the provisions of this ordinance would deprive the applicant of reasonable use of the property. There are none. There are none. So that's number one that's gone. Number two, the deviation is necessary for the preservation and enjoyment of the substantial property right of the applicant and is the minimum variation required. Yet in the architect's paper, he says it's budgetary. That's economic. Nothing in here talks about economic. The granting of the variation will not be detrimental to public welfare or injurious to other property in the area in which the property is situated. I don't know what that's going to do in terms of your neighbor, but is that what you want to put out there? And if you have an environmental issue, you're going to be out there digging the whole thing up again? You're going to be having the maintenance department, in addition to all of the work they do, they have to maintain their own driveway. So why are you even considering this in the long run? Lastly, as Todd has said often, there's a pile of money in the rainy day fund, and you could certainly use that to pay the cost of putting hard surface and have it taken care of and have it done properly so that you have a project that you can be proud of rather than look like you did it halfway and no way. Just like other projects around here, they're never done to completion. You get to the end and you're broke. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Any more comments?
Gail Kane, 105.6. I'm going to speak to 8C, D, and a couple of others. Your maintenance building, the township has to prove a hardship, so what is it? Could it be that you set forth on a project you didn't have money for, and you're using ARPA money already dedicated for another project? Could it be a poor decision as to the placement? It interferes with parking, the fire tower, and a safe driving for the recyclable area. You're risking contamination of 2 detention areas. We should have learned a lesson from that. And creating a brownfield. The area in question is in a natural low area to promote drainage and abuts the rear property lines of the residents on Dean Road. The map also shows a removal of asphalt and concrete and then questions the use of these projects in several other areas. You also have a refusal to admit that this is a bad idea. Maybe build a storage structure for the clerk, which is needed, but cancel the rest of it. As to 8D, were any of the people that have submitted bids the people that did it last year? I see no reference to experience in doing the task, and in my opinion, I think we need to roll the dice and take the middle bid. AD, third, the best thing, you want to protect residents, the best thing is change the ordinance and not allow door-to-door. They can use the Bedford ad flyer that comes out bi-monthly. And most noted, we have elected officials who have worse records than what this man has who would like to do door-to-door. And yet we continue to put vape shops on every corner and in our downtowns. And that's what we pick up on Adopter Road is vape sticks all over. These are not good for the community. As far as the information at the end, beer and wine for the Dollar General. Well, I guess that tells you that our suspicions and concerns were warranted. Yep, having one of these on every corner is really good for the township's well-being and safety because that plaza had a mess when we had the other businesses in there that were selling alcohol. Thanks.
Thanks for your comments. Any more comments? Will, did you want to come up and speak to anything? Take as much time as you'd like.
All right, Will Bruck, Erie, Michigan, State Representative. I just wanted to say thank you. It was an honor to be involved with the retirement of Roger. It's been busy. And a lot of you probably know about the fuel spill in Ottawa Lake, so I just wanted to give kind of a quick update on that. I actually visited the site yesterday. It doesn't necessarily affect Bedford, but hopefully there's never some sort of catastrophic incident like happened out there happen here. But I've been very involved in that, meeting with the EPA and the Eagle and setting up some public forums. We are looking at doing another public forum in the next 2 weeks. They've received all their testing. A lot of people ask about the well testing. They've done about over 500 well tests. I want to say 570 some well tests, and they have received all the results back, and they're all non-detect on the diesel fuel, which is a good thing, which hopefully means, it hasn't made it into the karst and into people's drinking water. But the health department's supposed to be coming on with a follow-on plan on what to do and when to test and who they're going to test over the next 6 months to a year or plus. They haven't come out with their plan yet, but once they do, we're going to do a public forum, a meeting out in Whiteford again. So I just want to kind of give an update on that. They have removed 2.4 million gallons of contaminated water from the site. They still have about 800,000 gallons on site. They're cleaning the lagoon, taking about 2 feet of the debris, soil out of that's on site. They're pretty much all back to this pilot site itself, removing the concrete, etc. All the piping and things will come out after once they've excavated all the concrete and the pea gravel and the contamination site. The numbers are pretty astounding, the amount of diesel fuel that they did lose. and not know it. That's really the multi-million-dollar question, why they didn't know, but we are following up. We're keeping the thumb on it, and they've been very responsive. I did talk to Jim Gardner. There's a big difference between what happened in Luna Pier when the owner of that fuel site left the country, and left Luna Pier in a lurch. Here, at least, Pilot is doing their due diligence, and they're spending a lot of money to get rid of all the waste and ensure that it's cleaned up. So I just wanted to give people reassurance on the water testing, because there is a lot of questions regarding that. Otherwise, Lansing, we're back in session, and we will be on spring break mid-June, is the word I'm getting, around the 13th. So we'll see what happens in Lansing. There's a lot going on. But it's always a never a dull day up there. We're doing budget right now, so there's a lot of the appropriation side, everybody trying to get a piece of something in the budget. So that's really the priority up there.
Throw some Bedfords away.
We will try. We will try. I won't mention the roundabout or anything, but yeah, we're trying to get, what we can, but it is a very closed process. We had our meeting today, and many of the people that sit on the appropriations committees have not even been invited to the appropriation committee's meetings, which is unfortunate, but that's just how politics occurs up there. But we did get the signage. It doesn't affect you as well, but we did get the signage installed on North Dixie. We had a ceremony on Sunday evening for the Captain Joe Liedel Memorial Highway on North Dixie. We had a lot of firefighters there. It was a really cool event, very honoring, and to see the tears from the family members and from the firefighters is very humbling to have been part of that. And my commitment is to our communities. And again, you all have my phone numbers. You have my cell phone. Please, if you need anything, please reach out to me.
So in regards to what he's speaking of with the roundabout, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, the road commission voted to not move forward with the roundabout, and I asked them to give me a little more time. So we called Will Bruck and Joe Bellino and Mayor Bob Clark, and SEMCOG has come up with another $600,000 to fully fund the project. So thank you. Thank you for you guys getting involved, and so. There's more to come on the roundabout, but that's what he's speaking of.
I hope I didn't open a can of worms.
No, you're all right.
I mentioned that grant that they were able to get for the road commission.
Oh, the FOIAs will start tomorrow, the FOIAs.
Gotcha. But no, I appreciate the opportunity to speak and be down here and be part of this again. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you. Anybody else have any questions, comments?
What's the status on the petition drive to get us control back of our lands when it comes to solar, wind, and all that BS thing that she pushed through?
I don't know all the numbers on that. I know they're well over, they're over the 100,000 mark. It ends at the end of this month. May 29th is the last day to have submittals on those petitions. They want them back by the 22nd of May. I mean, in Monroe County, the team has done a lot of work and probably gotten about 4,000, which doesn't sound like a lot until that's 4,000 individuals sign a piece of paper. But yeah, we have a lot of people around the state working on it. I'll probably find out more this next week. They're supposed to come back with some numbers, but it's moving along.
Is it projected to make the signatures?
I don't know. I can't tell. I don't know. So apologize for that.
Okay. We appreciate you being here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for everything you did for the fire department. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. All right. Moving on to AA, vouchers for payment. Ms. Hirschberger.
I'd like to make a motion that the following vouchers be approved for payment. General Fund, $594,694.88. Fire District Fund, $40,689.38. Police Fund, reclassed, $100,000. Fire Equipment Fund, $33,415.19. Downtown Development Authority, $124.31. Library Operating Fund, $12,028.05. American Rescue Plan, $9,968.75. Building Department, $2,091.20. Sewer O&M Fund, $4,447.75. Trust and Agency Fund, $4,664.87. Construction Escrow, $630.06. Special assessment debt service, $8,803.26, for a grand total of $611,557.70.
Support.
Okay, motion is supported by Ms. Januzak. Any discussion, comments? Okay, could you call the roll, please?
Hirschberger votes aye. Ms. Januzak?
Aye.
Mr. Montroy?
Aye.
Mr. Gore? Aye. Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Peroni?
Aye, the motion passed 7-0. Item 8B, approve the contract with the Monroe County Road Commission to do the overband crack fill on the roads in Montebello subdivision. Anybody have any comments? This is something the boards have partnered in over the years. If the residents and neighborhoods pull special assessment districts, part of our
This one is that the association went ahead and paid for it to be done. So they've already paid for it. So, but the Monroe County Road Commission won't contract with them. They have to contract through us, so
Okay, so this one wasn't an SAD.
No.
They're just doing it.
they're
Okay.
just doing it.
Good for them. Okay, so, well, either way, if you do pull an SAD, that's the partnership we've done is we'll do your crack seals if you do an SAD. So I look for a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the Monroe County Road Commission's contract in the amount of $4,275 for the Montevello subdivision overband crack fill as presented.
Support.
Okay, motion is supported by Ms. Januzak. Any discussion?
Question, Trudy, I know you said Montebello subdivision paid the total cost.
Yes.
But it has down here funding source township 4275.
Because
Are they paying us then?
they've already paid the township,
Right, I just
so
wanna
then
make
we
sure.
will pay Monroe County Road Commission when we get those bills.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, could you call the roll?
Hirschberger votes aye. Ms. Januzak?
Aye.
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Mr. Montroy?
Aye.
Mr. Peroni?
Aye, the motion passed 7-0. Item 8C, Development Design Standards Waiver, Bedford Township Maintenance Building, 8100 Jackman Road. So, wait, doomsday with Lamar and Gale. It's not always that bad, guys. It's a maintenance building, and it's much needed. We've already gone through this with the buildings of why we're doing it, so I won't get into that, but we are looking at a few different things in our meetings with the Personnel Committee, with Jim Jacobs, just kind of going through the design. Part of it is we're going to have on the back side, the back corner, you're going to have staged, your gravel section, your salt, and your mulch. But, it's going to get a lot of heavier use with equipment. So we thought, why not have gravel to start so we're not tearing up asphalt? And, if it doesn't work out in a few years and we want to do asphalt, you can always add it. It won't cost you an arm and a leg to add it. We feel, our group felt that, it would be a little bit of a savings. Why not? If you can save and still get the job done. Mr. Goldsmith, if you want to talk about hardships and, us deviating, if you'd like to speak to that, I'd appreciate it.
Well, this is the design standards ordinance, and it doesn't come under the jurisdiction of the Board of Zoning Appeals. So the standards, the hardship is not a requirement in this case. The standard is set forth in Article 10, variation 250.1000, specifically 250.1001. So the standards and the special circumstances and conditions are set forth in that section of the ordinance. So it doesn't require the establishment of a practical difficulty or a hardship because it's a different section of the zoning ordinance.
Anybody else have any comments, questions?
Why is there one of my questions was, why is there this new asphalt in that back corner, like on the other side of the gravel? It looks like 4 parking spaces or something.
That would be barriers for like gravel, salt,
Mulch.
Okay, so that's what you were saying is the staging area.
That'll
Okay.
be the staging.
Okay.
Potentially, and that's not. I mean, we plan to. It's not part of the project.
Mm-hmm.
We plan to add that later.
Okay.
So that's something we will end up going to buy the blocks and building it ourselves. There's a lot of things that we like that we plan to just have the maintenance do later on, and see what it looks like, see what's going to work. So.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what that is. Mr. Steiner?
So the plan, the way the yellow area is lined,
is the plan strictly for a driving surface only, or are we talking about a parking surface? Because if you use it as an actual parking area, then that's where you look into the issues of when vehicles do start to leak petroleum, oil, gas, et cetera. That's when we get into trouble. I mean, it can happen even something driving through, but you don't want to make it a permanent parking section.
So all vehicles and equipment plan to be parked inside in the shop. There's enough space with it. Our vehicles don't leak oil. So, I mean, if something is leaking, we would find it inside and it's fixed, fairly quick. So
I think the answer is no. That's not designated as a parking area.
No, it's
that's
not
a drive. That's a drive-through area. There's the concrete section
Right.
on the outside of on the north side of that building, and then that leads up to the side of the separate sheriff building. It's a driveway area.
Did Jim even give us an idea if we wanted to do that, what kind of cost we'd be looking at for that section if we wanted to pave
with
it?
asphalt, you're looking at for something like that, 30, 45, 50,000 we're going to save. I mean, we didn't directly get a price savings from him. We're not quite there with total cost yet. Bob's trying really hard if he's still in the audience, but we haven't gotten nailed down. There also in the building there was a mezzanine where Trudy's storage is that went across the whole building, and we cut out, 100 foot of mezzanine deck. Mm-hmm. I mean, so that we don't know exactly what that saved. I'm guessing 100,000 possibly. I don't know. So, so I'm sure it's going to save a decent amount. It's a lot of asphalt.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking, maybe 50 grand there, but
yeah, I would say that's asphalt's up 4 times. The roundabout's up to 2.1 million, I think now. So
who knows what the oil's going to do in the next.
And on the portion that sticks out that would be storage area for me, we don't anticipate anybody driving over there at all.
Right. And that was part of it too. Is if it's all asphalt and it looks nice, people would probably be using it, for drive-through. Although, the board's got to discuss it, but we're going to eventually do away with recycling here once that building gets up, and especially through construction. So we're going to be finding a new site. Gail, I don't know if you have a good site or not, but we'll be finding a new site. So
If this does go through as is, what I'd like to say is don't just automatically shut off the fact of potential paving. If we can still find ways to do the paving, I'd rather see it done with the project instead of pushing it out if we can do that. So I wouldn't say just, oh, well, it's going to be gravel and it's a done deal. I would still think we should look at it.
If the board wants to do asphalt, we can. I was the main saying, hey, let's look at doing away with it due to maintenance and due to more heavier equipment's going to be going back and forth on that. More turn radiuses. It was just a way, you know what I mean? There's a lot of maintenance with asphalt and with stone. I mean, we have a stone lot right now. If the guy's got to jump in a backhoe and back drag it, in 10 minutes, it's not a big deal. It's a cost saving. It's less maintenance.
The asphalt's not going to last long with the heavy equipment going on it at all.
No, you'd want to put it 8 inches thick if you want it to last.
And especially between our winters and the salt and all the trucks and everything like that, the asphalt's not going to last.
So that's why we all agreed to say, hey, let's do away with that and do stone. And if in a few years the board says, hey, it looks horrible, it's not really working, there's a lot of maintenance, you can always put asphalt back there. And the prices might be less than they are now because they're insanely high.
But Pat was really concerned with his equipment coming out there and tearing that all up as soon as we put the new stuff in. He thought maybe gravel would be better.
Okay, look for a motion, unless anybody else has any thoughts, comments.
You want to take a crack at it? I guess I'll make the motion to accept the developmental design standard waiver, our maintenance building. Anything else went in there, Paul?
Bill, is that good?
You should
make sure it says.
You're used to doing this because you're on the BZA, Joe, but take a look at the standards and the criteria and address those 1, 2, and 3, and make that part of your motion. So that might take you a minute to do that, but that would be more appropriate. And I'm referring to Article 10, Section 250.1001, and there's 3 standards that are set forth there. You see where I'm at?
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I'm just want to make sure I'm reading it right.
So number 1, there are special circumstances or conditions affecting the subdivision, that doesn't apply, or project, that applies, the project improvement, such that a strict application of the provisions of this ordinance would deprive the applicant of reasonable use of the property. So you've addressed that. Your maintenance supervisor, Pat, has said that asphalt, in his opinion, is not going to hold up because of the heavy equipment, and that gravel would be a better alternative. So that's a suggestion for you to think about there. Item number 2, the deviation is necessary for the preservation and enjoyment of the substantial property right of the applicant and is the minimum variation required. So again, you're anticipating, based on information you received from your architect and your maintenance supervisor, that asphalt is not going to perform well. The gravel would perform better and would be a better application, and therefore would be the minimum deviation necessary from the design standards. That's a suggestion. As an example, we ran into the same problem at one of our fire stations where the turning radius was tight and the asphalt was eaten up. Now, I don't know what the weight differentiation is going to be between a fire truck and the equipment that's been being used here, but we had that problem.
At the fire station on Lewis Avenue.
Yes, you don't want that problem to be repeated based upon the advice of your architect and the guy that knows, because he does it every day, Pat. So that's that issue. And then the final paragraph, the granting of the variation will not be detrimental to the public welfare or injurious to other property in the area in which the property is situated. So evaluate that. It would seem to, in terms of water runoff, it's not an impervious surface, so you're not going to have issues with water runoff. It needs to be monitored. You don't want to have any type of petroleum spill there. But if it's not going to be used for parking or storage of any petroleum products, and that's going to be stored inside the building, then that would be an issue that could be addressed there, and it would seem to me would not be detrimental.
You want to accept what he said?
I'll accept it. Why didn't you just tell me we needed practical difficulties? I can shoot practical difficulties out.
You know that like the back of your hand.
Yeah, I can come up with those. So I'll accept the friendly amendment.
And can we put in there conditioned upon moving forward with the site plan approval process?
Works for me.
I'll second.
Okay, motion is supportive of Ms. Hirschberger. Any more discussion?
Could you read that back to me, Ms. Hirschberger?
Supervisor Ken.
Could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Ms. Janasek?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Mr. Montroy?
Aye.
Mr. Peroni?
Aye, the motion passed 7-0. Item 8D, approve the bids for noxious weeds and grass mowing. So we have the bids in front of us. Anybody have any questions, comments?
Are any of these ones have done this previously, or any of the bidders?
So I know Schlegel did it in the past.
He wasn't the last one.
He wasn't the last one.
No, they didn't want to bid.
So these are all fresh.
They all submitted their insurance, their liability insurance. They're all covered well. So pretty much you're just looking at the cost.
What were we paying this last season?
50.
50. I'm fine with the 50 or the 60. That's my opinion.
Somebody make a motion.
Whatever is the board's pleasure.
I'll make a motion that we hire Bedford Lawn Care at $50 per hour as submitted.
Support.
Motion is supported by Mr. Montry. Any discussion? Mr. Steiner?
Who's going to drop the contractual agreement with them on that?
Bill? Sorry. You're going to drop the agreement?
We'll have to have a contractual agreement with them.
I would be happy to do that. Yes, we should have a.
Say, don't we do the same thing every year?
So I want somebody designated on the board to work with me on that, because I want to understand specifically the details of what we expect, albeit it's going to be on an hourly basis, but we should put in there what the scope of services that we expect.
Just deal with Shayla. Okay. Shayla and Al, they deal directly with the grass.
I can send you the last contract we had also.
Okay.
I think it was drafted by your
Okay,
firm.
that'll help. All right. I'll follow up with Al.
Okay.
Did we do roll?
No.
Okay, could you call the roll?
Mishberger votes aye. Mr. Montry?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Ms. Janasek?
Aye.
Mr. Peroni?
Aye, the motion passed 7-0. Item 8E, appeal the denial of a peddler solicitor permit. Mr. Goldsmith?
Do we have the appellant here? Okay. So just by way of history, a gentleman by the name of Kevin Richard, on the face sheet of his application, it states, on the face sheet of his application, the gentleman's name is spelled Kajala, but then later on in the application that he filled out, it's Karjala. But he does have his Michigan driver's license attached as required by the ordinance to the application. So this was an application submitted pursuant to the Bedford Township Peddler Solicitor Permit ordinance. And once the application is submitted, the clerk or the clerk's designee either issues a peddler's license or denies the peddler's license. So in this case, our clerk, Trudy Hirschberger, spoke with me, and I am the clerk's designee, and she asked me to respond to it. Now, I think it's important to keep in mind that because there's been some suggestion from the public that the township may only want to deal with local Bedford Township businesses and not a business who operates outside or whose place of business is outside of Bedford Township. But these licenses have been granted in the past to representatives of this entity, Weedman. And as a matter of fact, Trudy told me that 2 applications were submitted by 2 different individuals, I think on the same day, one of which her office granted, and the other of which, as the clerk's designee and as the township attorney, I denied. So I'm going to tell you why I denied it. The individual who made the with the consultation of the clerk, and the individual who made the application disclosed on his application that he had a misdemeanor conviction. And then in a follow-up communication, it was stated, as for Kevin Karjala, he informed me that the misdemeanor was for possession of paraphernalia, drug paraphernalia, specifically a pipe. And that communication was authored by Luke Surgett, and Luke's here tonight. And so I'm assuming that Luke is either the owner of the company or the manager or in some supervisory capacity. Is Mr. Karjala here tonight? And are you an attorney?
No.
You write like one. Do you have authority to act on his behalf?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So in any event, I authored a letter, actually 2, because Mr. Luke, Mr. Surgett asked me to clarify my position. So I'll read you my second letter, and I think that sets forth why the application was denied. Dear Mr. Surgat, on April 1st, 2024, this is dated April 3rd. On April 1st, 2024, I emailed and sent by first-class mail a denial of Mr. Karjala's peddler solicitor permit application. The reason for the denial was clearly set forth in my letter. In response to Bedford Township's denial of Mr. Karjala's peddler solicitor permit application, you sought clarification for the denial. In support of your request for clarification, you stated in pertinent part that, quote, the purpose of these permits is stated to be to provide for the public health, safety, and general welfare of the persons and property of the Township of Bedford, end quote. More completely stated, the purpose of Ordinance Number 78A1 is to regulate peddlers, solicitors, hawkers, itinerant merchants, transient merchants, hucksters, door-to-door salesmen, and the like, to provide for the public health, safety, and general welfare of the persons and property of the Township of Bedford. The key term is regulation. Mr. Karjala's recent conviction for the misdemeanor offense of possession of drug paraphernalia raises a substantial concern regarding his fitness to have face-to-face interaction with Bedford Township residents, many of whom are senior citizens. Bedford Township has a legitimate state interest in regulating peddlers and solicitors within its geographical limits. The legitimate state interest is directly connected to providing for the public health, safety, and general welfare of the persons and property of the Township of Bedford. It is for that reason, as previously stated, that Bedford Township cannot, in good faith, grant Mr. Karjala's license application. As previously set forth in my April 1, 2024 written communication, be advised that should Mr. Karjala wish to appeal the denial of his peddler solicitor permit application, he may do so by following Section 22.007.2 of Bedford Township Ordinance 78A1. Thank you very much for your cooperation with respect to this matter. Please do not hesitate to contact me with any questions. Sincerely yours, Philip D. Goldsmith. And it was copied to Trudy Hirschberger, our Bedford Township clerk. Mr. Surgat, I assume, is going to present his position or the position of Mr. Karjala tonight, and you can listen to him. But now you know the position taken by the clerk's designee, who is me, as a township attorney, as to why the permit application was denied. There was a misdemeanor conviction for possession of drug paraphernalia. That happened in less than 1 year ago, in June of 2023. It was our considered opinion, which discretion is provided for in the ordinance, to deny the application for the exact reason I stated in my letter to Mr. Surgat, who had questioned the decision of the clerk and the township attorney. So you have jurisdiction based on our ordinance to hear the appeal, and you have jurisdiction, should you desire, to overturn the decision made by the clerk and or me. Blame it on me if you want to, if you choose to do that, or you can uphold the decision. So again, the decision was made based upon a misdemeanor conviction for possession of drug paraphernalia. There have been messages sent to the township that were, I'll paraphrase it, we must be somehow backward, and that drug use and marijuana use is now legal in Michigan, and we shouldn't be basing our decisions based on a misdemeanor conviction for possession of drug paraphernalia. It was a crime at the time. It was committed. There was a conviction for the crime. It was admitted by the applicant there was a conviction of the crime, and that's why the decision was made. If you feel as a board that that's somehow insignificant and that it should be overlooked, that's fine. Everybody would honor your position. So we'll hear from him.
Did you want to come speak?
Yes, please.
Okay.
And can I just say, so the board knows, I have granted 18 permits to this company. This is only the second one I've denied. The other one that was denied was, again, multiple misdemeanors. Since 2003, I've denied 10 peddlers from various companies, so this isn't the first time.
Well, I would like to thank you for at least applying, because so many people don't. And it is so important to apply, because residents of Bedford, when somebody knocks on your door, they show you that permit right away. And if they don't have it, they haven't been vetted, which could mean they're a scammer, they're a robber. You don't know. They get the permit from Trudy, so you have the assurance to know they've been properly vetted. So when somebody knocks on your door, say, show me your permit, and they say, if my boss has it, they're lying. Show the permit, otherwise call the township ordinance, and we'll send somebody there right away. So thank you for at least applying. I'm sorry you were denied, but go ahead.
All right, so yeah, multiple permits have been submitted, and my complaint here is because, as Phil said, the purpose of the ordinance is to regulate solicitors and salesmen, and it does say to promote the health, safety, and general welfare of the people and property of Bedford. And in the denial, it stated that he was denied due to a misdemeanor, not with any connection to the health, welfare, or general well-being of the people or property of Bedford. And that goes, in my opinion, against the spirit of the ordinance. And I understand that you may not agree with illicit drugs, and this is a misdemeanor, but it's for a nonviolent crime. It's for a victimless crime. And to deny him permission to go door to door in your township to talk to people about free quotes for lawn care, free quotes that would come later on in a phone call. He wouldn't be entering anyone's house. He would not be taking any payments, and he wouldn't be providing any service, just talking to people at their front door. And to deny him the opportunity to do that job in your township, it seemed wrong. It seemed against the spirit of the ordinance, which is to protect your citizens. And I don't believe he was any threat, and there was no attempt to present him as a threat from the township itself. It was because of the misdemeanor. And so I'm here asking you to reconsider.
Okay. Board members, comments, questions, thoughts?
I don't care for door-to-door solicitors regardless. My neighbors don't. I have neighbors coming up to me all the time. Hey, what can we do? I can't do anything. If it's election or whatever, if they have a permit, they have a permit. And working the road for so many years, Mr. Prony's correct. There are so many people that have always said, hey, my manager, the guy down in the van's got the permit. No, they don't. That's BS. They don't have it. And to say it's a victimless crime, don't go there with me, all right? I spent 30 years as a police officer with the drugs and everything like that. I'm tired of smelling it. I'm tired of smelling the weed from people coming up, door-to-door salesmen or whatever, or builders or whatever. You can't go to Kroger's. You can't go anywhere. Maybe that's okay in Ann Arbor, but it's not okay down here. So I'm a no.
Anybody else? Comments?
I'll add to Joe's. You send a solicitor to my house, I'm letting the dogs out on you. I'm not dealing with solicitors. You know what? If I want to buy something, I'll research it myself. I'll call the company. I'll go do it. I don't want people coming around to my house. Luckily, I don't live in a neighborhood, so I don't get a lot of people coming up to it. But if someone wants the service, they'll seek you out. You don't need to be bugging people at their house. I'm not supporting it either.
Anybody else have anything they'd like to add?
I don't know if either of those responses specifically address what we're talking about specifically
they don't.
here.
They don't, in my opinion, either. But
I would second the supervisor's sentiment that I appreciate you guys actually applying for the permit, and I, on top of that, appreciate the guy's honesty in marking down on his application that we didn't do a background check on him. Is that correct?
No, not entirely. We do an iChat, or the.
Did he claim it on his permit? He claimed it on his application, correct? Okay, so he was not honest. So I disappreciate. I take that back. But if he had, I would have appreciated that. I was.
She found it when she did the background check.
So then they found it on the background check.
And Mr. Surgott, to his credit, was honest when he communicated with me, because he, in writing, he told me or the clerk's office that this was a drug paraphernalia or paraphernalia misdemeanor conviction. So it probably, I'm not going to throw Mr. Carjala under the bus entirely. It probably came out of a traffic stop, and then a warrant was requested for his arrest for drug paraphernalia. I'm basing that, like Joe, on my experience as a police officer, albeit a long time before Joe, but that's plausible that it happened that way. But they were honest, and they said it's a misdemeanor conviction for drug paraphernalia. It wasn't a traffic offense per se. So that's the sole reason that it was determined that it wouldn't be in the best interest, and there's a legitimate state interest involved here, that it wouldn't be in the best interest in this specific instance to grant the permit. Now, this is their time for appeal, and I guess you could have brought somebody to testify as to the character of this gentleman. We don't know that. We see a conviction. We know that they're coming door to door, or that's what they're applying for. So that raises, in our mind, a legitimate concern. So I didn't want it to be misrepresented. I think this gentleman, although we may disagree philosophically, has been honest and forthright with us.
I would say, though, I do agree with Ms. Keene. If we don't want solicitors, we should change the ordinance. I don't think this case should be based on, I don't like solicitors at all. That's not the case. The case today is are we going to grant him a permit due to the fact that the gentleman, has this conviction, and, are we going to move past it and allow them? I mean, they have a long-time track record of knocking doors here in the community. They've gotten the permits, and I could tell you, just today alone, I stopped somebody that,
This is not going to stop the company from applying. It's just this one gentleman would not be able to solicit. And our ordinance does say if you have a misdemeanor or felony that I'm supposed to not issue a permit.
Right.
I don't think that's the case.
It gives the clerk the discretion to make that determination.
Right. Well, you have the choice of whether or not you want to, in the interest of the public health, safety, and general welfare, but it does not instruct you not to.
No.
It's not shall and it's not mandatory, but it's discretionary, and that's the decision was made, and there is a legitimate state interest in preservation of the public health, safety, and welfare. That's what the determination was based upon, the misdemeanor conviction. And the other part of this, Luke, is that it was so close in time. It was June of 2023 when we did the background check. If this had been back in 1972, or if it had been remote
5 years
time
ago,
and there was no conviction since in between, I think it would have been viewed differently. But it wasn't. It's close in time.
I would agree with that. I think that affected my opinion. That if that was 5 years ago, I think that would have changed my opinion overall. And I would say I'm gonna lean on the recommendation of legal counsel. Is kind of where I'm personally standing right now.
Phil, a little free legal advice for him. How long out for an expungement on a misdemeanor? Do they have to wait 5, 7, 8 years, and they can go petition the court to have it wiped out, and then they're good?
He may be eligible under recent legislation for an expungement right away. That he would have to seek legal counsel.
That's
he may be eligible.
There's an avenue.
Yeah, there's an avenue.
Yep. I'll make a motion if we're ready. Mr. Supervisor?
Yeah, go ahead.
Make a motion that we affirm the denial of the peddler solicitor permit.
Support. A motion supported by Mr. Bruning. Any more discussion? Hey, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Mr. Montroy?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Ms. Janasek? Aye. Schreiber votes aye. Mr. Peroni?
Aye, the motion passed 7-0. Appreciate you being here.
I would like to add, I appreciate you being here and fighting for your guy and going through all the right processes. I genuinely appreciate that.
Thanks for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to comments from the public. Comments limited to 2 minutes. Come on up.
Lamar Frederick, 3254 Deer Creek Drive. Your work tonight in approving the gravel for the maintenance building, slippery slope. My view, and this is just personal view, is you did this on an economic basis. The next petitioner who comes in here is going to throw that right back in your face. And so you're going to look a little bit with egg on your face when the 3 requirements of the ordinance, if Phil hadn't explained them, you'd have never found them. I'm pretty sure of that. So I think you're going to see this come back at you somewhere down the road, and they're going to throw it in your face. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Any more comments?
Gail Kane, 1056 West Temperance. It would have been nice to know that the client, if I understood it right, lied first, and it was only found with the background check, because there was no mention of the background check even being done until I looked it up through the township ordinances within the letters from either the attorney or the township. And in regards to the maintenance building, I'm hoping that you will uphold the other demands that you put on the public when they do buildings such as this. And that would be keeping the distance from the property lines and commercial versus residential, because this is not a residential property. So there should be buffers placed. And if you don't do that, then basically what you're saying is that you guys don't have to apply by the rules that you put the rest of us to. Thanks.
Thank you for your comments. Any more
Got to
comments?
scrape snow off that gravel too.
What was that? I'm just messing with her.
Good evening, Logan Tisdale, 1308 Brandywine Street. I had the privilege yesterday going up to the 21st Michigan State Police Fallen Troopers Memorial at the Michigan State Police Academy in Dimondale, Michigan. I had a chance to meet a lot of family members from officers who gave their lives. I got to meet 2 sisters from a trooper that I knew personally that was killed in 1972. It's an eye-opening experience. I say that because May 15th is the official Memorial Day for police officers, and the calendar week, which that falls within, is Police Week. After what happened in North Carolina here a week ago, where 4 law enforcement officers were killed and 4 wounded, it should be a stark reminder to us as the public that police work is dangerous, and that first responders, their lives are dangerous on a daily basis. I think sometimes we kind of forget that. But I, as being retired 33 years, it was a real heart-wrenching experience to see the family of people who lost loved ones recently. And I just want to remind people to take that seriously, and I hope that we verbally and also financially support our police officers when we can and our first responders. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Any more comments? Okay, moving on to board members' comments. Mr. Bruning?
With me. Everyone have a good night, good weekend. As far as sports-wise, I don't know what's going on with Bedford because my kids are done. I know they're doing real good in lacrosse. I'm seeing the posts there. But go Mules on that one. And then also this week is National Nurses Week. And with my wife being a nurse, just want to give a heads up to all the healthcare workers out there. Thanks. Have a good night, everyone.
Mr. Gore?
So first of all, I'd like to thank both Jeff and Roger Brushhaber for their combined 80 years of dedicated service to the families and citizens of our community. That's amazing. I mean, 51 years and 29 years, you can't ask for any more than that for somebody to give back their community, and they'll be commended for that. Secondly, I'd like to personally thank Being Police Week. Mr. Tisdale, thank you for your service back in the day. Mr. Goldsmith, thank you for your service back in the day. I was one of my first training officers. He started in the 70s, and some of the stories they tell from back in the day is kind of mind-boggling. So again, thank you, both of you, for your service. And for Nurses Week, I'd like to say congratulations to my daughter. She's an RN. She went to school and got that all done, so kudos to her. One last congratulations. I'm going to brag on the Gore kids. My son Ryan graduated last Friday from BGSU, so congratulations to him. Unfortunately, he accepted grad school at OSU and broke a father's heart. So, I mean, it is what it is, I guess. No, congratulations. We're very proud of him. And the last thing, to all the mothers out there, happy Mother's Day. I hope you have a wonderful time with your family, and I hope all you children out there are going to do something nice for your mothers. Thank you.
Mr. Mondra?
Nothing from me.
Mr. Steiner?
I guess we should all go with Mr. Bruning's schedule. He said, have a good weekend. I guess the week's over. So let's move forward.
Have a good weekend.
Just two things tonight. I'm going to be very brief on the first one. I've had a lot of questions. A lot of people have asked me about withdrawing from the supervisor's race. I just want everybody to know the opinion was of mine only, and after long discussions with my family, there's a lot of reasons why I withdrew from the race. I know there's some rumors flying around. I want to just dispel those rumors today, that there's nobody in particular that has forced me to withdraw from this race but myself. There's comments about disagreements I've had with our board. That's what we do. As a board, we disagree. And you know what? It is what it is. So if anybody wants to place blame on any reason for me leaving the race, you can put it with me and my family. And you know what? If that's a blame, then shame on you, because my family comes first. Thank you to, again, the Bruce Shaber family. It's unbelievable, 80-plus years. Thank you to all the firefighters and EMS that we have in this township. As we said tonight, Joe, Phil, Mr. Tisdale, same thing. Everybody's done their fair share and then some. As I reported out, 3-4 weeks ago, that I was going to be on the honor flight. I made it this time. I didn't fall ill. What a tremendous experience. I can't say enough about what the veterans that were on that flight. It was just unbelievable and touching. We had one veteran. She was a 98-year-old nurse from World War II. And for that woman to put up with the day that we had and the rigors of the long day, we had to be at the airport at 5:15 in the morning. And if she came from Findlay, she was probably up at 3 in the morning. The plane got back at 9:15 at night. By the time we closed it up, wrapped it up, it was going on 10:30, 11 o'clock. And some of these veterans were still standing. They had so much adrenaline moving in their blood because they felt welcomed home. I know some of our board members tried to attempt to come out, and because it got so late, had to leave because of child obligations and things like that. But if anybody hears about the next honor flight coming up, I would say just even go to the hangar when it comes in at night. It's a tremendous experience to see when the hangar doors open and the veterans get to come into the welcome home that they never had. On our particular flight, we had one, like I said, one World War II veteran. It was either 7 or 8 Korean veterans, and the rest were Vietnam. And obviously, those were treated some of the worst when they came back home. So I felt privileged and honored to be able to do my service. And I had a gentleman that I took around the entire day, and he was so appreciative, and he thanked me all the time. And sometimes you'd have thought he was inconveniencing me, or at least he thought. And he said, "Oh, thank you for doing this. I don't know, how you do this." And it's like, no, that's why I volunteered for this. I also ran into a gentleman during my training session that he saw a logo on my coat that happened to be from my work, and he works for a competitor, so we struck up a conversation. I said, well, where do you live? He said, oh, Temperance. And I met him in Findlay. So I'm going to stay connected with him. That's one of the things that I'm going to do down the road, probably starting in 2025, is to get more involved with the Honor Flight program. If anybody wants to volunteer to serve, I'm sure that they will take volunteers at any time. And if anybody wants to be a guardian, in general, you pay the $400 fee to become a guardian, and you can sponsor someone that is unknown like myself, or if you have a family member. And I thought of Mr. Brushaber tonight, Mr. Brushaber's dad. I wanted to catch him, so I'm going to get word back to him if he's never been there to see the memorials in D.C., and if he'd be interested, I'd be more than glad to help him. And I'll be glad to help anybody that has served in, you have to be World War II, Korea, or Vietnam. They don't have any of the other wars yet. They want to get all the main veterans from earlier on before they pass away. And just one tidbit, shocking thing. I was surprised when they told us how many World War II veterans are still alive today. They told us there's almost 120,000 left. I found that to be a heck of a number. But I also read that we're losing about, I think it was 6.1 a day or something like that. The numbers are going to start growing faster the next couple of years. So if you've got a veteran that's in at least decent enough shape to try to make that, let's get their name on that list because they deserve to see it if they've never been there. That's all.
Okay. Sounds like a great trip. Ms. Janet?
I also want to echo about the Brushabers in the family. Thank you for your service to the community. And this month, May, is Motorcycle Awareness Month. I know a lot of people out there who ride, and just be more cautious when you're on the road and pay attention. All it does is take one quick second and something happens. And another thing, when you're out cutting your grass, if you could, make sure you don't blow the grass in the road. It's not very safe for motorcycles. It's very slippery. I know in a lot of subdivisions, people just blow it and it blows into the road. So just if you could be a little more conscious on that, that would be great. And everyone have a great rest of your day and nice weekend.
Okay, Ms. Hirschberger?
I want to let the residents know that we do have mosquito dunks. I know people are complaining about mosquitoes. Come into the clerk's department. You have to be a Bedford resident. You have to bring a photo ID. The dunks are good for standing water only. You can get 6 dunks per month. Newsletter articles, board members are due the 21st if you have anything for the newsletter. As was said earlier, this week is both Nurses and Teacher Appreciation Week. So I want to thank all the hardworking nurses and teachers, especially my daughter Larissa Covret, who teaches first grade at Monroe Road Elementary School, and 3 of my nieces, Heather, Bryn, and Lindsay, who are nurses. Wanted to wish congratulations to both Jeff and Roger for their retirement, but thanking their spouses and their children for all they gave up too, because they gave up a lot for them to be able to serve this township. And last, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there, and especially mine. Happy Mother's Day. That's all.
Really?
So I did.
Real moms, not the dudes who think they're nuts.
So I did touch on the roundabout a little bit. I can tell you this: that project has been dead more than it's been alive. It did come back to life again just a few days ago. It's not going away. I can tell you that. And that goes along the line. We can't vote on something because we don't like it. We vote on it because we think it's good for the community and what's best for the residents. So keep that in mind with it. But either way, it's fully funded. It started out, at a low amount, and it shouldn't have been that low. But now it's the cost of the roundabout's over $2 million. So SEMCOG has stepped up, and they came up with another $600,000 to fully fund the project. So now the road commission is working on that with Manica Smith to figure out next steps. So I'm excited about it. I think it's the best project we have going by far. The county, the state, the road commission, our engineers, it was picked. That spot was picked for a reason. You won't see anything happen to that intersection for a long time if this project doesn't go through. I'm hopeful that it does. Moving the roads and buying houses and property and all that, that would totally be on the township's dime. There's no grant for that. And you're talking probably the same amount of money to do that at this point with no grant. So hopefully we can get across the line. I think it's a great project. And we're vested in it heavily at this point too, with property and dollars, and so is the road commission. And time, we forget about all the time. I too want to say Happy Mother's Day. I've been blessed to have an amazing mother who's always been there for me, and been just such a great influence in my life. So I also want to thank the Bruce-Shabers. I talked a little bit about firemen and especially the volunteers who get called from the dinner table. We just can't thank you enough for everything you do. And just, I know I touched on Linda. We did a moment of silence, but I've had the honor of serving with her on the DDA for the past, 7 years now. And I've gotten to know her and become friends. And she was such a powerful lady, and she'll be dearly missed on a lot of boards and in the community. I know I touched on solicitors. Just a reminder, when somebody comes to your door, ask for the solicitor's permit. If they don't have it, call township ordinance or the police, one or the other. But our ordinance department to go out there and shut them down. So ask them for the permit. If they say their boss has it, that means they don't have one. And it protects you. It protects your neighbors. And make sure you do that. I asked a company today, and they said, "Oh, my boss has it down the road." And I said, "No, he doesn't." So I got Trudy on the phone and right in front of him on speaker and asked if they have one, and they said no. And he's like, you know what I mean? So just ask, and if they say they don't, call the township.
Well, another thing that can be done, if the resident wants to post on their house no solicitation, and it's there at the front door and it's prominently posted, then the solicitor is not supposed to bother them. So that's another thing a resident can do if they choose to.
Right. So that's another option too. Thank you. Appreciate it. Other than that, we have the 2024 car show dates at the American Legion. Post 514-11, 601 Lewis Avenue. It's at May 15th, June 19th. They have a bunch of dates here from 6 to 8. So yeah, it's a great event. Focuses on the veterans, and so get involved in that. But other than that, anybody have any comments, questions?
I do.
Okay.
3 of you spoke about Mother's Day, which made me remember my mom, and I wanted to thank this board because you recognized her. She lived to be 101, and on her 100th birthday, she was here, and you recognized her for the contributions that she made to the community. And she was the oldest living member of what was then First Baptist Church of Temperance, now is Bridgepoint. She's now in heaven, reunited with my dad. So remember Mother's Day while you have your mom, because you won't always have your mom.
Amen. Okay, so motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Adjourned.